What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 16 of my Total War Warhammer 3 Skulltaker Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, we have turned Ulth 1 into a nice favor farm for ourselves, getting up to 234,000 favor at the current time, and heading towards that 300 or so thousand that we need to upgrade every building that we have, assuming that I can trust my own calculations several episodes ago, which I'm not 100% sure about. I'm going to assume that they've increased slightly since we've gotten a little bit of territory since then, but they shouldn't have increased too significantly yet, because all those territories haven't been upgraded yet, because we haven't had the money to do so. Anyway, it's a big old turn, and the turn continues. Between the episodes as promised, I went ahead and sacked Tor Yvresse instead of auto-resolving real quick so that we took minimal amounts of damage while doing so, if any damage at all. And the next step will be to move towards Tor Yvresse itself with the nice 26k that it's holding. Now, here's the thing, we can't reach it. Alright, I guess we're going to have to move Skulltaker near to it, and then we've been saving this Lord Thinna here, and we're going to use said Lord to re-up that movement range. So, the Bone Reapers and the Crimson Beasts, that's you guys. That was a question. Will we still be able to? I'm just gonna hope that we are. Okay, you're gonna go here. And you're gonna attack this. And I'll resolve this, and I saw the Soul Grinder suffered a tiny bit of damage there. How dare you, game? And I'm going to see, okay, yeah, we can still reach the guy in Vale, which is worth 72k, which is also very, very nice. As to whether we can take it, I mean, it's mostly basic units, so if we can get over those walls, then we should be able to. Ooh, it doesn't look like, or actually, can you? Actually, maybe you can. I was worried that you might not be able to without going to March stance, but it looks like we're okay. Alright, so we're going to attack that, and we're going to attack Tor Yvresse as well. Anyway, just a tiny bit of move remaining, so we'll do that. This is a Pyrrhic victory, and by the looks of it, one we will have to fight. They do have some Phoenix Guard in there, they do have a decent pile of units, and every single turn we get more and more damaged. We really need the heal up for this army. Just out of curiosity, how long ago did we use the where is it? Not Unholy Manifestation Skull Throne. Oh, it was either this turn or 2 turns ago. I don't know, it's 10 turn cooldown per, so yeah, 2 turns ago. Alright, so it's gonna be a while before we get this. More likely than not, we'll probably be able to get the full heal on Lord Defeat up before we get that out of the out of this particular skull, Johann the Demon Hunter. Assuming we don't first take Pirate Lord Penko for the Summons of Bloodhost after defeating a Lord, which would be nice as well, because then we wouldn't have to waste skulls on it, and would just be able to rack up more skulls where we don't want to rack up money. We know that Orion is worth a fair amount of Champion's Essence, and Dirthu is worth a bit, though surprisingly little. I guess it's because he's level 11. I assume that this has to do with the level the Lord is, because this is 134 and is worth 32. Definitely gonna need to hunt a few more Lords that are worthy of our attention, but we'll get there. Anyway, for now, I guess we'll start with Skulltaker, because he's gonna be able to move after this anyway, so might as well, and then we'll do the other siege. That's going to probably be much more difficult than this one right after. Go. Huh, interesting. Can barely hear what Skulltaker is saying when he's up in the gate. I wonder if I mean, there's a limit to the degree that we can zoom in on him when he's in the gate, but there's something about the sound of units, I guess, that are fighting within the confines of the gatehouse, which is kind of interesting and something I never noticed before. Anyway, there we go. Another siege, and, well, we'll probably be having a fair few sieges over the course of the next maybe 1 or 2 episodes, at least while Ulth 1 sticks around. Fortunately, we can break through that gate fairly quickly, and now that means that the rest of our units can close in. Now, of course, we'll want to keep the breach relatively clear, but we've got so many of the Blood Reapers in this particular army that it should be no problem. And Skulltaker himself can move towards the enemy Lord, who I can't see right now. I can't see Skulltaker either, but while he's working. Enemy Lord's only level 2, and assuming that Skulltaker doesn't get stuck on all those silver helms, which, interestingly enough, are going to ignore him in favor of moving towards our blob of motorcycles. And that's probably not going to go so well for them either. Especially as the Silver Helms aren't going to be particularly adept at dealing with this sort of thing. They are anti-infantry after all, lance or no. They might want to try sticking a few of those lances into the spokes of those wheels, although I'm not actually sure that these things have spokes. They kind of look like barrel wheels to me. Oh, the back wheel has spokes. Not so sure about this one. Either way, how's Skulltaker doing? He did in fact get stuck, but he does look like he's killed off a few of those silver helms and will now move once again towards the enemy lord. The enemy lord has no mount and also can't get away from him in just a pile of units. The rest of our army is moving in, and it'll be the doggos that are first into the fray. There's a lot of enemy archers out here, and it should be easy to tie them all up and devour them. We're blood beasts, and our units of blood crushers will follow, and then of course our blood letters are going to take a little bit longer to reach the rest of our army, but they'll get there eventually. We do have a fair few things to clear after all. There was an actual threatening unit in here in the form of a unit of Phoenix Guard, who are down to about a third of their HP and unfortunately are suffering just as much as any other infantry unit against all of these motorcycles. I figured that they might be able to trap a motorcycle, i.e. prevent it from using its mass, but it does look like the splash damage is fairly significant on them. Though I wonder the significant or the degree to which it differs between the Blood Reapers and the regular Blood Shrines. This actually might be a good time to make a comparison here. So 42, 28 melee attack and defense, and then 423 weapon strength on. Okay, let's check. Okay, first is a low level. Let's check Warfriend. 58, 30, 649 versus a regular Blood Shrine is 52, 24, 324. So the melee attack and defense stats are almost identical as compared to a regular Blood Shrine unit. Of course, we have a lot more HP on the Blood Reaper and twice as much weapon strength. Okay, so that probably explains why they had no problem with getting stuck and ripped apart by the enemy Phoenix Guard. I'd wager that if it was a regular Blood Shrine, they would have been able to destroy. Anyway, the other fast movers have arrived and have smashed their way through the enemy lines, not in a Slaneshi way, but smash their way through and into those archers. Does look like some units of Silver Helms will move away from chasing down our blob of units, and we'll head towards these guys instead. I saw them knock down the Blood Beast, but the Blood Beast gets up and keeps going. There's more blood to collect, I guess. Alrighty, love seeing the sort of smaller numbers of Skull Crushers, or Blood Crushers rather, completely surrounded like this. Getting a little bit of action for them. It's taking quite a while to tech up towards them after all. But it does make sense because we have a lot to do in every turn. And here come the Bloodletters just as the enemy units turn to attempt to run away. They see the Bloodletters exalted and regular alike get in their way and then rip them apart. Up here, our blob is still moving. Ooh, it does look like the enemy attempted to surround the Hellforged Bellowers and has done a little bit of damage to them, but probably not so much that it'll be a threat. There's a unit of White Lions here who have their armor piercing and armor sunder. Oh, that's SFO. They don't have armor sundering in vanilla, do they? But they do still have plenty of armor piercing with those great axes of theirs. Not that it's going to help against Karanak and the Blood Shrines. Or Karanak and the Blood Reapers. Dibs on the band name. Alright, and it looks like a few seconds after engagement, the White Lions are out. The Blood Letters are... is this a desync? I don't remember them stopping like this. Could potentially be they might be fighting a unit that doesn't exist anymore, but ultimately I suppose it doesn't matter over much. Doggos are also probably trying to move through the lines of spears to get to the archers back there. And it does look like we are still getting small desyncs within the, yeah. I don't think these Heralds of Khorne's Fury are supposed to be fighting up here at all. Well, not a big deal either way. I imagine that even with the desync, like previous desyncs in this particular campaign, it shouldn't mean an actually significant difference. Though, these guys are down to about half of the HP that they started with, which is a lot more than they would have lost. Well, they did lose when I actually played this, and these archers are still firing, and they very much shouldn't be, as they would have been torn apart by the flesh hounds at this point. Yeah, everybody's stopping. Oh, desync, why you gotta exist? I think keeping this in mind, I'll try my best to avoid direct sieges and go for where possible. Obviously, it won't be possible in every fight, but to go for field battles, or at least try to draw enemies out of the garrison locations. Oh wow, not only is it a desync, but it looks like it'll crash as well. It's frozen and it's done, yeah. Oh, it's not working. Well, okay, but I guess we saw most of this battle, so what are you gonna do? Alright, very nice, very nice. Minimal losses, probably to the doggos, maybe some of the bloodletters that went in. Again, we don't really care about the bloodletters because they're not the exalted variants, but it's the principle of the thing. They've been around with us so long after all. But anyway, decisive victory, solid amount of money, plus the 26... 7, 8? I don't know. Okay, that we get from sacking this in a second. And I just want to see those damage numbers. It looks like at 123 kills, despite coming in fairly late, the one of the bloodletters, the Skulltakers, outkilled all of the doggos and stuff. Oh, good job to them. And by the looks of it, Blood Reaper 2, which apparently you can't see what names they have here, is the one that got this. I think second one is Brass Tide, unless I'm mistaken. But anyway, for now, we will sack the place. I'm very tempted by the 14k skull so that we don't have to deal with it later, but for now, sack it. And if we successfully should sack the guy in Vale, we should be able to get everything we want. Ooh, another blood collector. Nice. Everything we want in terms of building. Now, Trilinia, you're up next, and you're worth 23k. Oh, even without the guy in Vale, we might be able to. Assuming that we want to sack Trilinia, which I still think that we do. Unless we want to raise it. For the skulls, although I'm willing to bet that sacking Trilinia will allow us to push towards Elisali, and I feel like I want to have Skulltaker move all the way here so we can meet up with the retrofit armies here at Lothern. Yeah. Really, the only issue here is Gilgallion, who has a full stack and is behind our lines, and we can't let him sail out and sort of attack these territories. Granted, we don't care about them that much, but, you know. Once again, it's the principle of the thing. Trilinia, you're up next. And let's see what we're looking at here. And low casualties, eh? Do we risk it? I'm gonna risk it. Oh, this is gonna be bad. Yeah, 81 losses, but we can take it, I hope. It just makes every single battle that this army runs into a little bit more difficult, which ain't a bad thing, necessarily. Once again, I think it's too good of an idea to sack this place. Yeah, we'll probably be holding on to the Ulthuan territories, but in the sense that we may or may not upgrade a lot of them, as they're not super important to us at the current time, except obviously the ones with the trade goods. 13k skulls. Because we want to probably keep something like Lothern, because I think Lothern, we can still build the harbor there, which would mean a lot of money generation, which we don't otherwise have, because Khorne territories don't generate a lot of monies for themselves. I'm still going to say sack this place. And let's see how much movement we got out of that. Will that be enough to reach Elisali? Alas, it will not. Although, we can't recover, man. That's unfortunate. I mean, we could go back and grab Tor Yvresse or just keep moving forward. I was just thinking now what I should have perhaps done. No, that wouldn't have worked. I was going to say occupy Trilinia, but that would have taken all of our movement range anyway, because we could probably get the movement range back up by... Oh, well, actually, it probably doesn't count, does it? I think we tested it in the early campaign, and grabbing the islands doesn't count as defeating a lord, so that wouldn't have worked anyway. And, ooh, Port Lo is nearby. Income from trade tariffs? Yay, we can't trade, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, I guess we're moving towards Elisali then, or at least as close to it as we can manage. Skulltaker. Go this way. And I might have the Crimson Harvesters raise one of these. Probably keep Torkar for the Cultist Enclave, although we'll take it at tier 1 anyway, so we could just as easily raise it and allow the recolonization to happen. And if anybody comes over here and tries to take our territories, then we just kill them as well. And I think that's the way that makes most sense. Anyway, I believe then that might be the last move that we can make other than the siege, so the siege is what we shall do. Alright, siege number 2. And then we should definitely have enough money to upgrade our buildings, finally, after all this time. But hey, for those of you that don't like the admin of building upgrades, these few episodes must have been a real treat. Anyway, defenses aren't anything crazy. Still Pyrrhic victory, of course, as we don't have a proper lord, certainly not a level 50 lord leading us, but, well, I imagine we could take those walls by storm. Go. Alright, somebody here is silent, but, well, while the speech may not be working, let's hope the battle itself is a little bit better and that we don't get a horrible desync, unlike we've gotten before. So, we're gonna start the battle off by bombarding the enemy towers as best we can, but of course we gotta wait for the reinforcements to arrive, which are gonna take a while, and then we're gonna send those bloodletters up the walls and see how they do. The enemy does have a fair few archer units, which are going to be a threat, but they also have a unit of swords masters, and I believe there's a unit of Phoenix Guard in here somewhere as well, right there. So they could very well hold the walls for a fairly long time, and we shall see. Anyway, it looks like with 2 skull cannons firing at 1 fort tower, we only have enough ammunition to bring down the 1, and, well, I'm gonna have to move in instead to take that gate. We also, of course, do have flyers, and the Furies, as we've seen in previous siege battles, have proven pretty instrumental in those victories, or at the very least are very, very helpful, especially when it's the Blood Host assaulting, so makes sense. Now the tower should go down under the 3 units of Furies, and then they can head on down and try to find isolated archer units, while we break through the gate and move towards the walls. 8 units of Bloodletters, Exalted Bloodletters I should say, are going directly up the walls via their ladders, and then we're going to leave 2 units to go through the gate with the rest of our single entities. Our Lord and the Soul Grinder, Lords and the Soul Grinder are working for that gate, or on that gate, and I'm just gonna hope that the gate itself is not bugged out, as it's going to be pretty important to this actual battle. Furies have destroyed the first of the towers, and the Bloodletters are about 2/3 of the way there. We could speed them up a teensy bit, like so, and then they can start climbing. It does look like as soon as the AI sights that the Bloodletters are heading up those walls, they're going to reorient. The archers are going to get offset walls, and the spears are going to take position to try and defend, which is the appropriate thing to do. Though I don't imagine the regular spears at least are going to be too much more effective than the archers against the Exalted Bloodletters at the very least. And it looks like even they don't really want to be up here. But the enemy will send the Phoenix Guard up here, which are a different story. In addition to that, the enemy is attempting to actually hold the breach, so neither our motorcycles nor our Exalted Bloodletters are able to easily break through, at least until they break through this one unit. And of course our Furies are still flitting around from location to location looking for isolated units of archers. These would have been ideal, but unfortunately there is a unit of Silverhelms awaiting up above. Now we also have looped around with all of our Fleshhounds who were hidden in this forest, ran around, broke through both gates, and are now heading into the enemy settlement through the back way. The 6 units should be a fairly decent contribution to the fight as soon as they can sort of walk up and down those winding paths and get there. Alright, the breach is broken. We've broken through the gate now, and did the AI just shatter one of its own towers? It's weird. Why would you do that? Oh, I assume that the tower had been captured by us, and so the AI decided to capture it. Alright, fair enough. Phoenix Guard versus Exalted Bloodletters. Should be an interesting enough matchup, I'd wager. How are we doing here? They're at about half HP, and, well, the lack of magical weapons is really hurting them, isn't it? by the looks of it, they're not going to be able to hold us. There's a lot more Exalted Bloodletters where that came from. And the rest of the Exalted Bloodletters that are not busy with the Phoenix Guard are heading down the wall. Soul Grinders having a grand time obliterating spears as they have no chance against it. Very nice. I've been excited to get some more Soul Grinders into our own armies, and we're very much on the way to doing so. Alright, Furies have come down to help as well. They're mostly going to chase the archers around while the Bloodletters deal with the enemy spears. I should try to remember that the desyncs and sieges happen and adjust playstyle again to minimize the effect of the desyncs. Unfortunately, it's kind of an annoying thing to do with a Coordinate force in particular due to the fragility and missile vulnerability. Basically, what you have to do is you have to play it in such a way that you don't ever give direct orders to your units that deal with enemy units themselves, because you can't guarantee where the positions of the enemy units are. So what you have to do is you have to give them only orders that imply location. So order them to move here, and if there are enemy units in their way, just hope that they attack them. But doesn't work as well with Khorne as with certain other factions. Anyway, still working through the enemy settlement. Another unit of archers has been caught by our Furies and will be torn apart with gusto. I think that these units are ones that actually ran away or routed and then rallied, only for the Furies to find them once again. The other Furies are ripping towers apart as we speak, and we should be heading towards that Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower shortly. Our doggos are in it to win it. Looks like the three that are making up part of the blob that have broken through one gate have made their way up towards the sort of higher portion of the enemy settlement. And while there is a unit of Silver Helms protecting the enemy archers here, a single unit of Silver Helms is not going to be enough, as we've seen the Fleshhounds tear through Silver Helms without much issue before. The main thing protecting the enemy is this platform, which is about to collapse as well as the rest of our units head up that ramp and into whatever other units remain here, including some archers. And our other Furies have found the enemy unit of Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. Very nice. Interestingly, this particular battle doesn't appear to be desyncing. Everything is happening as it should. Another unit of Silver Helms has been caught, or has caught our Fleshhounds. I suppose ultimately it doesn't matter, as there is blood and skulls aplenty either way. And as soon as the Furies get into position, we'll be able to move them down to help the Fleshhounds against those Silver Hounds. Not that I think the Fleshhounds need it, as just like up above there are 3 here. I'm pretty sure 2 would be sufficient to defeat a unit of Silverhelms, at least a not heavily buffed unit of Silverhelms, I should say. And these guys don't appear to be heavily buffed to me. Very high melee defense, 54. But I don't think it's gonna be enough. The Furies come down, these guys rapidly start losing HP, defense or not. 57 melee attack on the Furies after all, and the Silver Helms will fail. And just like the Silver Helms, so will the rest of the enemy army. The ones that are holding back the Fleshhounds up above will rout as soon as the rest of our forces reach them. And the only unit, the Swordsmasters of Hoa, that didn't get to participate, well, didn't get to participate. All the other units fought to the death, basically. They all were down to like 90% HP, and the Swordsmasters were heading southward to try to, or southward, heading down the ramp to try to find one of our Fleshhounds, but unfortunately our Fleshhounds were too fast, and, well, they had nothing to do. Alrighty, there we are. That was really fun for a siege, and I do mean for a siege in the sense that I feel like, I don't know, 90% of sieges fall into a sort of meh category for sieges, in that they're not horrible, they're not great, it's just that they're less fun than field battles, so you generally, or at least me personally, I generally would prefer to fight the field battles instead. And then you got the other 10% where you get the 5% of sieges that are like really, really bad. The AI does something really wonky, or doesn't work quite right, or the pathing is all crazy. I mean, that's true most of the time in sieges. But anyway, those are the really bad ones, just like, ugh, I don't want to do all that. And then you got the 5% of the really, really good sieges. The sieges that go above the field battles in terms of their fun. And I do feel like CA has been sort of tweaking their siege formula for ages, trying to figure out what works. Sometimes they add some nice, sometimes they take 18 steps back. It happens. Field battles remain super fun, but they gotta try to sort of drill down and get those really, really fun sieges to be, I don't know, half of sieges. I'll take a quarter of sieges. Anyway, I enjoyed that siege is what I'm getting at. Decisive victory for us. Loss is surprisingly minimal, and it looks like both of these blood hosts will remain viable despite this. Also quite impressed with the fact that the AI actually managed to sort of fight nearly to the end there, as in most of its units were destroyed. And ooh, 38,000 skulls, but we're gonna sack it. Well, this should maximize our building capabilities, and he won't be able to take it again next turn. Well, I guess we'll have to reoccupy it. There is a cultist enclave here. I guess the main issue is that it's a red territory, and I'm not so sure that we actually want to deal with it like ever. Oh, we did get a glittering scales out of it. Very, very nice. Another blood collector. Can't go wrong with having, or can't have too many blood collectors. Anyway, I guess you guys are going to sit here for the turn or two and then do something about the guy in Vale. I am tempted by the cultist camp, but I'll think about it. The magical force we don't care about, and that's another reason why Skulltaker's going to be burning down Athelloran and probably sacking and raising all the way there. Anyway, now that that's done, we got 380,000 gold. Let's see if I was off in my numbers. So, Itza, we'll start with you, and that'll put you up to tier 4, which will give us the Emerald Pools. Demons Reforged, Casualty or Punishment Rate Growth. Very, very nice landmark, I gotta say, especially for us. Bump up both those Jugger plants. We're looking to get those Exalted Heroes up and running. Piranha Swamps, Talashland, moving up to tier 5, which means Skull Crushers, or yeah, Skull Crushers. This is a mortal territory. Very nice. And I mean, we already have access to Slaughter Brutes, so we don't really care about this building, but we'll build it anyway. Gotta build your buildings. That's why we call this building. Anyway, Ancient City of Quintex, actually moving to tier 5 relatively soon as well. You've also have the Skull Crushers thing, but the Sanctum of Quintex is a building that we want to build, so we may want to hold off on upgrading the other tiers just while we wait for this thing to max itself out. Let's do that, and we will hold off on those upgrades, but we will build the trophy racks here and upgrade the Cornate Furnace there as well. Alright, Creeping Jungle. Did I forget something? Oh yeah. Ignore Titan Peaks. Hope I don't forget that I forgot, and then, you know, whatever. Let's get you to Dimensional Nexus. Isthmus of Lustria Heshwatla is ready for an upgrade as well. Good for you, and surprisingly, there is no landmark at Heshwatla. I feel like there should be one, you know? Feels like an important place to Chaos, at least to desecrate for Chaos. I feel like they'd raise some kind of crazy monument at Heshwatla after all the warring they did with the Lizardmen. After all, anyway, Isthmus of Lustria. Anything else we need to do here? No, I think we're okay. Let's build up the walls here at the Pillar of Skulls because this place is very sparsely defended. Frankly, Cornate garrisons are surprisingly weak. I remember in SFO, Cornate garrisons are very nasty, but this is very meh. Surprisingly meh. If you'd think that if there's one thing that Cornate could do, it could be garrisons. Although on the other hand, they might not want to sit around and actually garrison a place. Rather, they'd rather be sailing, and thus maybe that's why. But anyway. But you know, at the same time, all the units that are recruiting there, they're probably gathering there, fighting in the arenas and stuff while they wait to have enough numbers to go out and fight in an army. But anyway, Abattoir, anything else we need to do about this place? We have the Skull Cannons and the Soul Grinder ready, and ooh, next turn we'll start building our ranged army, and we'll start building it here. And I forgot whether I went into this or not, but we don't actually want Half-Deer Nightbane to lead a ranged army. And yes, he has the Marcus Wolfheart buff, but here's the problem. These guys, the Blood Speakers, they have the same sort of set of traits that Demonic Lords do in terms of their red line. The problem is this: their upgrades to the range units are essentially upgrades to melee units. So, for example, Bloodsoaked Champions, the Marauder horses will get melee defense, armor, but will get absolutely nothing for their range capabilities. And the same thing actually goes for the blood cannons, skull cannon, for the blood and skulls, man. It's all interchangeable. You know what? Last episode, I'm gonna have a vote: blood for the blood god or skulls for the skull throne, and then and then we'll know for sure. Anyway, whereas the mortal units have a different trait, and that is this. We get missile strength and ammunition for missile cavalry. I don't know why it says artillery here, considering it doesn't actually include the artillery. But the artillery has warp fire, which is also missile strength and melee defense, but actually buffs their missile strength. Plus they have Malevolent Ranger, which further buffs their reload time and missile resistance, whereas the Demonic Lords and the Blood Speakers don't have Malevolent Ranger at all, which means, unfortunately, we can't have Half-Tier Nightbane lead our ranged army because we have to have a mortal unit leading it. That's okay, though. It's not horrible, and the reason that it's not horrible is that Malachi McKyson is out here, so if we build the ranged army right here and have them push through and, you know, fight the contraptions of the regular dwarfs, we will, well, insofar as that madness of Malachi is, you know, regular, but anyway, we can get the defeat trait from him, which is also a ranged buff, so yeah, it'll work, guys, trust me. Anyway, back to building, which is what we started with. Walletall, Blood Drench, Herdstones. I mean, I guess we'll build the hunting fields. We don't really need any of the other things here, do we? I don't think so. This doesn't provide anything for recruitment, does it? It does not. And therefore, hunting fields and Khorne Calefactor. Culkin Plains. Yes to the Southern Sentinel is being upgraded if I could get the damn sticky... Okay. I have it set to 0.05 seconds or whatever it is. The, not sticky tabs, the sticky windows, but it's still quite, you know, it's still noticeable. We would like it to be 0. Jugger Plant. Yeah, let's go for Jugger Plant, and let's go for another trophy chamber here. Mosquito Swamps, Shalanhuapek. You've got a landmark as well, Temple of Mists, which is kind of terrible compared to the other landmark, but at least it does give us income generation. Alright, out of the Crimson Skull. Get a port up and running. Ports are also kind of useless to Khorne, which is surprising. I think that they missed the mark on this. I think I said it in like the very first episode or the second episode or something like that. But since Khorne's ports don't generate money like everybody else does, they should do something for a faction. What they should do is they should increase rating. So the trophy halls only increase it by a small amount. Every port should increase Khornate rating capabilities by like, I don't know, 3, 6, 9% or something like that, because it makes sense. You set sail, go raid stuff. Yeah, still got a lot of mortal followers and stuff after all. It's just kind of bizarre that it doesn't do much of anything. Anyway, Skullcarver's Abode, you're gonna have to be the upgrade here because we want the gold up and running as fast as possible, though looks like we can also upgrade Vowel Track, so why not? Jungles of Pabalasha, you're... did I forget something? Oh, trophy racks. Jungles of Pabalasha. Everything. Honestly, there isn't much to say because we should, in theory, have enough money to upgrade everything without actually having to think about it, so I should just try to click stuff and upgrade everything as it is without giving it any thought. Just like real life. Let's go for... Okay, some places you will have to think about it, but let's go for Foundry of Scythes here. The demonic territories are kind of meh. Because after the Khorne Calefactor, they have nothing that will give you anything of use, as in no secondary capacity, so... Gotta go for more mortal territories. Honestly, pretty much all the new territories that we take will probably switch to mortal. What are we missing here? You should have a Skull Harvester / Jugger Plant. Alright, Star Tower, go for the Demonic Fortress. Okay, that's our first 100,000 gold gone through. We're still looking okay. Alright, Oishul, you will have another landmark as well. Oh, we can build this right now. In fact, this is great because we are going to be using Furies and Bloodthirsters in our next army. Thank you, Oishul. I don't know why I didn't notice that. Oh, maybe I did notice it and that's why that building was free, as in I cancelled it. But I noticed it late either way, so still, shame on you, Pastor Ruinous. Bet you were better than... Well, no. Pastor Ruinous is always a jerk. Anyway, he's always screwing me. Foundry of Scythes. Icefire Plains, Godless Crater, get another one of those salt mines, and I think the rest of this is good. Southern Wastes. Almost tempted to switch this to mortal territory, which we could do. Except that it has one of the coldest enclaves here, and I'm also too lazy, so let's just deal with it. Outcomes Forever Maze is mortal, which is nice. Cape, another demonic place. I went a little bit too hard on getting demonic things up everywhere, but what can you do? Too late now. Guess a coordinate calefactor for you. And Ashen Coast, Tyrant Peak. Ooh, yes, iron. Anything for more iron, and I guess we'll upgrade you first because, you know, even more iron. And we can upgrade Sulphurites to 3, and then we'll go for tier 1 here afterwards. Trophy Rex, you have your Trophy Rex, so we'll go for the Jugger Plant. No, we'll go for the Arsenal because cultists are more important than exalted heroes, because they're a lot more universal. And, aha, you can be mortal. Alright, Bleak Coast, what do we have here? This is also nice and mortal, so let's go for the Dark Bastion, get that wood up and running for the construction cost reduction, and the last one, Isthmus of Lustria. Skeggy, useless harbor. Port Reaver, there is nothing really super useful here. Let's go for the Jugger Plant this time. Beautiful, and we still have 100,000 gold remaining, so... What were we at? We were at like 370,000 or something like that, so... Well, I mean, to be fair, in 4 to 6 turns, whenever all of this upgrades, we'll need another massive influx of cash, so hopefully we'll have it by then. Either way, it worked out nicely. Titan Peaks are the only one we're ignoring. I don't believe there's anything else to do here. Still not entirely sure what, if anything, we should use Khorne's Glare on. My original thought was to use it here, but... Yeah, funnily enough, if we raise the Guy in Vale, we could get it back up and running, because it'll claim it a tier 2, which would be the same, wouldn't it? Lothern, I take it as a tier 4. Wait, is there anything here that we would want to take a tier 2? You know what I should have done? I should have done that at Tor Yvresse. Should have raised it and then gotten that gold up and running. But we have 5 more turns of this remaining. Is there another gold mine nearby wherein we'll want to take it a tier 2? I don't think so. I don't think there's any more gold on Ulthuan other than at Tor Yvresse. There's marble here, but that's nothing crazy. Is there a gold one? Well, there is a gold mine all the way up here at the Temple Avenue of Gold. Or wait, or it's not Temple Avenue of Gold. It's... well, there's one here, I'm sure of it. But it's a little bit too far away, most likely. So I'll think of something, maybe. Or I'll just forget about it. Unassigned skill points, damage buildings, upgrades, and turn. Alright, and the Crimson Beasts. Yes, you're still around, but you're kind of just providing... sightline. Not to worry though, we'll have a Crimson Beast army. It's definitely on the in the cards. What's not in the cards is the peace treaty with Kairos, who wanted to peace out before we landed with our blood hosts. Good for him. At least he's trying. Alright, anybody want to attack us anywhere? Heinrich Kemmler will... well, that's random. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, undead hate chaos because they're kind of anathema. Frankly, if anything, undead should hate chaos and vice versa. Or rather, chaos should hate undead even more than mortals because they actually need mortals. But still kind of interesting that strength rank 69. Nice, but still stupid of you. You're gonna die, buddy. And not in a good way, because, you know, it's a vampire counts faction. Minus him and being not a vampire. Tyrants of Black Ghost. What? Why are you looking here? What's happening here? Fator Morspig. Oh, right. Yeah, sure. Place it with the Demon Prince. See what we got here. Burning Body enables flaming attacks. Ah, that's so useless. Wow, that is a terrible Demon Prince. Because he already has flaming attacks, and fire resistance is mostly a useless trait. But what can you do? I was gonna give this guy this army. Yeah, drawn to destruction, drawn to destruction, drawn... Ooh, lots of places getting drawn to destruction. We can summon another Immortal Lord and hope we get a better one, but there's no guarantee. Start them at level 11, would be fairly quick. I'll think about it. For now, we got other things to do. Hex's Slaughter Call, you're the one that's going to actually lead this army, are you not? Down here, please. And Skinnerath, you're starting on the Flying Army. Ooh, also, unless I'm mistaken... Wait. No Medusa available yet? Really? Wait, we're at tier 2. Provides allied recruitment of selection of units from the faction's global recruitment. I thought you had the building. For heart... Unlocks recruitment of Bloodrack Medusa. Excuse me? But we can't build blood. That's the one thing I want. Okay, you're very close to getting killed, Rikarth. It's the one thing I wanted your faction for. Huh? Okay, I'm going to hope that it'll be available next turn, because I don't know what the heck is going on here. If anybody can explain to me, please do, because Medusa's, please. Maybe we need the tier 3, but tier 2 should already be giving us global recruitment. Unless this building was built this turn, but me knowing about it means it was probably available from the past turn. We get Witch Elves.
Mother of the Dark Convent.
Feral Manticore, Charybdis, War Hydra, we get those. The heck? Alright, well, it will be really disappointing if we can't build those for some reason. Anyway, oh, hello. Larishian, you have a full stack in Eliseli. Ooh, that'll actually probably be a tough fight. Lovely to see. You've returned, but not for long. We're just going to probably raise Torokar because it'll re-up itself, and taking it back at tier 1 is probably pointless. This is going to hurt the Blood Host, but honestly not that bad. And we will skulls it. I know it's not a lot of skulls, but I also don't want to waste skulls taking something at tier 1 when it'll just recolonize itself shortly. Alright, Gleaming Pennant, another Agent of Blood, which we will need for the new armies. Then, I was gonna start the new ranged army up and running here with the advent of the Medusae, but we don't have those anymore. Which is kind of odd. Hey, and look at that. Archie took the Monolith of Estrelon. Granted, these are kind of useless to him, but still. Funnily enough, just out of curiosity. Yeah, we could buy this from him for 2,000 gold, and still gets some use out of it. So it's only Monolith of Bubonicus, eh? Wait, no. He's willing to sell us Monolith of Bubonicus for 8,000 gold. We could just buy all of his minor settlements and still get use out of them. Maybe he will be a useful vassal after all. Granted, he can keep the fortresses and still get territory and stuff. I kind of like this. I'm probably gonna do that. In fact, buy the Monolith of Bubonicus right now. It's a relatively small amount of cash, 2.6k for a free settlement that we can use for capacity. Why not? We gave this to him too, for vassalization, as funny as that is. Anyway, Arbol, you will still need to recruit your Skull Crushers, but for now they're not available, so just keep hold of what you have. I think your army is strong enough to be able to deal with Tamarkand, minus the fact that you will need to get rid of, say, a Flush Hound, because we can at least transfer these things without building new ones, and you're gonna get this guy in here. And there we go. I also want him to get a couple of Exalted Heroes, but we'll deal with that. I might have gone a little bit too hard on the various chosen, but all good. Anyway, I think, folks, with that, we are out of time once more, and I'm going to call the episode here. There's a little bit of admin to do in the sense of just, like, moving cultists around and stuff, which I think I'll deal with between the episodes, so we can get back to, fighting and next time around. And how many more turns do we have until you're up? 1 turn. Until the Khorne Cult Magus is ready. Alright, fair enough. And I guess next episode we will fight Larishian here. We will hopefully... Ooh, they're still here. Oh, that's tempting. Oh, that's too tempting. I gotta do this right now. Alright, so we're not ending this episode right now. We're gonna go after the Sisters of Twilight. I want this army to do its thing. Alright, they're gonna run. We're not gonna get the reinforcements. We're just gonna fight like this. And I'm probably not also gonna bother to level you guys up. It's too good of a fight to waste. So, Lichbone Pennant. Now, do these guys have magical attacks? They do not. But the main ones do. Alright, so we'll put the Razor Standard on you, powering you up even further, sundering magical flaming attacks. And the Lichbone Pennant, Scar already has it. I guess we could put it on one of these guys. We could also give magical attacks to the Brutes of the Hound. Just kind of funny. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I didn't realize this. What the heck? Skull Reapers have magical attacks and Wrathmongers do not? Why? Wait, why is that even a thing? Why would the more ascended... But Skull Reapers walk the path to become Wrathmongers. Why would they have better... Okay, whatever. I need to look into that because I don't understand it. Alright, let's give it to you. It's our 1 Marauder unit. Why not, right? Anyway, go.
In the sight Knight of the Hound, but he will smite you.
Then the gods will take notice.
Alright, one person make a speech at a time, please. I couldn't quite tell who was talking at the same time there, but, well, who and the blood speaker, I should say. Anyway, here we go. I want to fight this, so we're extending it until we get to this battle going. The enemy has pretty much almost all range units, and we have all melee units, and it's a missile infantry versus melee infantry here. We've separated our force into essentially 3 distinct blobs. Each one is being led by a cultist or a lord, and each one has at least 1 unit of Wrathmongers to lead the Skull Reapers. Obviously, the biggest blob is in the center, and, well, the left flank has a ton of units as well. Anyway, and just got to rush towards the enemy before they fill us with arrows. And see how well we do. Looks like the enemy will be focusing down the Bloodwake Berserkers here, who have 10 physical resistance and 1 missile resistance? Oh, 20 physical and no missile resistance, and 1. That ain't great. Could really use additional missile resistance, especially as coordinate forces, but what are you gonna do? All we can do is run through the gauntlet of arrows and hope these units survive. Does look like a fair few of them are gonna drop, so we're going to lose about 50% of our HP, but we're going to counter that by popping Wild Abandon, which gives us that Cannot Die ability, and start healing them up with that Blood Sacrifice, hopefully long enough to get into melee with the rest of the enemy units. Of course, this is going to demonstrate why it's so annoying fighting the Wood Elves, and even if it was, well, it was a lot more fun playing them recently in the Orion campaign than I remember. I used to not like playing them or playing against them, because, you know, they're annoying, but when you focus a little bit more on the melee units rather than just spamming range, it's a little bit more fun to play as well, at least in my opinion. Dragon Breath comes down in the middle of our formations, but it looks like the Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers both finally close the distance with the first of the enemy units. Of course, the first set enemy units are going to be the enemy melee, but it looks like at least 1 unit of range got caught as well. And the Bloodwake Berserkers are going to be leaving a lot of blood in their wake as they attempt to get revenge for the indignity of all those arrows that they suffered. Looks like whatever units our army has at least come in contact with at this point have begun to break or get ripped apart. The balance of power is at about 70% in our favor, and we are still attempting to close the distance with plenty of enemy units and just giving chase to them. What's the speed comparison here? We got 44 move speed on the Deepwood Scouts and 44 also on the Red Harvesters, or just the Skull Reapers. Fortunately, the Wrathmongers are faster, running at 58 speed, which is just enough. There's also the thing to consider that because our leader of the army is the Blood Speaker, he gives the entire army Strider, which means at equal speeds, in theory, our units should be faster. Assuming, of course, that the enemy doesn't have Strider as well, which I just checked, and neither the Deepwood Scouts nor the Glade Guard do. Anyway, most of the enemy units are either being overrun or are being corralled into one location. Soon they'll reach the edge of the map, and they will have nowhere else to run. And we're catching up to a few more of them as well. Very nice, very nice. Still, we've eaten many an arrow in this particular battle. And what are you gonna do? And just the nature of this army. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit stronger against enemy armies that have a lot more melee and a lot less range. Ooh, I wonder how we'd fare against, like, an Imperial army with cannons and Hellstorm rocket batteries and stuff. Well, there's a decent likelihood that we actually find that out, because after we're done with this place, we gotta head somewhere. Although, well, it'll depend on what happens once we close with Valkia, as these guys are gonna head up north. Nice little charge from the Wild Riders there. But these are units that have come back after routing, and those that have come back won't have come back for too long, as they also get ripped apart. Alright, just a few more hits. The bounce power is at about 80% in our favor. Most of the units have either fled or been torn apart in melee. And most of the units that remain have nowhere to run. Also nice to have a field battle where we have no risk of a desync, even though we didn't get a desync in the previous siege battle. But I guess in that battle we didn't have a unit with Executor As somebody suggested, that may be the cause of the desyncs. Anyway, the enemy range units, i.e. the Hawk Riders and the Sisters of Twilight, are still firing upon us, and there isn't really anything we could do about that. I can give chase to the Glade Guard with Hagbane tips, but that's about it. I was really hoping that they would actually try to land here, but it doesn't look like they want to do so, which is a little bit of a shame, a little bit surprising. The Hawk Riders are kind of like Furies in that they can do a ton of damage in melee if you force them into melee. Yeah, they're fragile and they're liable to take a ton of damage as well, but, you know. Huh. We are getting a desync, but we have no Executor in this army, do we? Unless we do. A moment. Just curious. Huh, yeah. This one desynced as well. Okay, there might be something wrong with the Khorne Let's Plays, but, well, suffice it to say that 95% of the enemy army was dead. What happened was we did chase down the last 2 or 3 units of Glade Guard who melted away, and then the enemy air units, both the Sisters of Twilight and the Hawk Riders, they just decided to break, shatter, whatever, and never closed into melee, and they just flew off the screen. I think the battle was well decided. Alright, there we go. We certainly took damage, but unfortunately for the enemy, they didn't have the armor piercing necessary, or I guess the alpha necessary to actually destroy individual models a lot. And so we didn't lose a lot of individual models, and so most of our units were healed up to full or near full. Plus, of course, the Cannot Die ability from Valnir Dal really helped out as the enemy was focusing down those Bloodwake Berserkers pretty hard. I do wish that the AI, when it had flying range units in the way that it does here, actually occasionally tried to use them in melee, especially the Sisters of Twilight. They got a big old dragon, and in melee probably would have helped their floundering melee line quite a bit, but alas they did not here. Anyway, we're gonna take the skulls because, well, we need more skulls, and we need more blood as well, but yeah, there we go. Casualty replenishment rate plus 20% for this Lord, which is gonna help these guys. Quite a bit, I'd wager. And then I guess we're gonna loop around and then go to the Witchwood. We also have Aletha Nar, who, by the looks of it, is doing surprisingly well. I see Malekith is up here as well. Lots more factions to fight. Lovely. And, oh wow, these guys love us. But if they're not willing to be our vassal, then they will be destroyed. Either way, with that, we're out of time. I just really wanted to fight the Sisters of Twilight there, and see a little bit more action from Valnir Dal and his army. Might want to global recruit him a couple of Marauder horses just so that we have some kind of anti-air available to him. Yeah. 2 Marauder horses. I was going to do 2 Slaughter Brutes, but no Marauder horses whatsoever. 2 Marauder horses, 2 more Cultists. Then we'll have 2 on Shrines and 2 not on Shrines. Anyway, more Skulltaker to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.